All right, how about that, Governor?
How about that, Governor?
He was interviewed on Fox 61. The show's called The Real Story.
Oh, yeah.
And let's see how real it got. Jennifer Bernstein asked him this question.
Tolls are a tax, and they aren't the only tax that you had put in your proposal. There was the sales tax expansion, which there was a long list there, tax on sugary drinks, tax on plastic bags, vaping products, liquor bottles. You've proposed canceling some of the tax relief that was agreed upon in the last bipartisan budget. Again, people have tax fatigue. What do you say to people who say he's just another tax and spend Democrat in office?
That I'm cutting $600 million a year.
Yeah, didn't they get into their fuzzy math?
Right.
Like, yeah, whatever, I'm cutting this, but yeah, right. Okay, you didn't answer the question.
No.
Tax. What do you say to those people? Math. Numbers. Confusion.
Diversion.
Numbers. Diversion. Good.
I'm saving well over $100 million in the state.
Hard to swallow? BS. Sorry, what? BS. What? I'm sorry, what? BS. That was wrong.
I'm saving well over $100 million in the state employee plan. Working in collaboration with labor. That's a really big savings. Something we've never done.
Really?
I think I told you it's the smallest increase this state has seen in many a year. So I get it. I also inherited an enormous
Wait, so you
deficit.
get, what do you get? What do you get?
I was quite sure.
Wait, do you get that we're tax fatigued? Do you get that?
He gets it. I'm not going to do anything about it, but he gets it.
Tolls are a tax, and
I get it, but I'm not going to do anything about it.
Right. I get it.
I get it.
Wait, can you explain this whole you get it to me?
And now you're going to get it.
What does that mean? Right.
So I get it. I also inherited an enormous deficit.
Hold it. Here we go.
The last guy did this, not me.
Right. It took 100 days to get here.
You know who should get blamed? My predecessors.
There we go. We're there.
He just said it differently.
We're there, everybody.
You're right.
All right.
Achieved.
Meet the new boss, same as the old boss.
You know who should get blamed?
My predecessor.
That wasn't me. It was the last guy.
Hey, I didn't do this.
No.
I'm trying to fix it. Well, we heard that for 8 years. How'd that go?
He fixed it, all right.
He fixed
Now for the
us
better.
all.
Now for the better.
He fixed my ass.
Yes, he did.
All
right.
Yep.
Part 2.
There we are.
Did he say it was the smallest increase in years? Like, that's not saying much.
Right.
What?
It's still an increase. Yeah.
What?
Right. Well, you know what? They go to these debate classes. They learn you just grab onto this little point and you say that. It's not the whole truth, but there's a little reality in it somewhere.
A glimmer.
And you just say that over and over. You get 3 or 4 talking points. Like, oh, well, he did say that he had an answer.
He did.
Really? Okay.
Wasn't a good answer, but
Yeah.
he answered.
He didn't answer the question, though.
No, he did not, no.
The only little shred of an answer in there to her question, which was, what do you say to the people who are tax fatigued, who think you're another tax and spend Democrat, was, I get it.
Okay.
The rest was like just diversionary, let me throw numbers out here, confuse you all.
Right. Blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Blah, 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 blah.
And then I'll basically say,
You know who should get blamed? My predecessors.
I inherited this problem.
Yeah.
And you also ran for office.
That's right.
No one said you had to run for office.
Right.
We had a guy.
Right.
We had a guy who had a plan.
Right.
No!
I also inherited an enormous deficit.
You know who should get blamed? My predecessors.
I also inherited an enormous deficit.
Yeah, just keep that, please. Yep, there we are. And apparently, according to Len Suzio, any sane argument for tolls is over now. Why is that?
Good morning, Chaz.
Right.
That is the arguments for tolls have been totally destroyed, ironically, by Lamont and his administration with statements they've made in the last few weeks. The argument for tolls is based on a forecast that we're going to be in a deficit in the Special Transportation Fund, and there's 3 assumptions underlying that forecast. One of them you and I discussed in previous shows, that gas tax collections are decreasing. Totally false. Gas tax collections are going up. In 2005, they were basically $650 million. Last year, they were $822 million. So that is totally
weird. It's
Now,
weird. Like, no one's calling them out on that, but they keep saying, with the electric cars. I'm like, I don't see any.
Yeah, really. See a handful every now and then.
You see, anywhere they have a station with the plugs,
yeah,
it's like, well, this is the only place you could park at the mall.
Right, yeah.
Right?
You see the one car.
Even the handicap spots are taken.
Yeah, the one Tesla.
Right, yeah.
And you're right, Chaz, by the way. There's only 9,289 electric or hybrid vehicles in the entire state. That's 0.3% of all registered vehicles in the state of Connecticut.
So that's a make-believe argument.
That's right. So let's go to the other two assumptions that underlie the tolls argument. The second one is this $100 billion spending plan on infrastructure that Malloy put forward about 4 or 5 years ago.
Right. That was interesting. You came on and explained that to me, and I didn't know that was passed, and those are the numbers we're working off of. So he said, yeah, we're going to spend $100 billion.
Yeah.
And no one said, oh, is that to the penny? Like, did you guys figure out what each bridge was going to cost? And no, we just said $100 billion.
Of course
not. We rounded up to $100 billion.
It came to me in a dream.
And so it's a fake number. It's 3 times what we normally allocate.
Right.
It's like, let's do 3 times. Yeah. Then we created a crisis, and we need tolls. All right. So that's that, right? What else?
So that's the second one. And 2 weeks ago, the governor's...
Everyone else hear that, or did I just have a stroke?
I thought Len fell. I'm like, what did you say? It made Len fall.
Did Len just jump off a bridge?
We know there wasn't taxes falling.
Right. All right.
I can't deal with it anymore. Oh, my God, one of our crumbled bridges.
All right. Sorry, Len. Go ahead.
That's right. So the commissioner of the DOT, the new one, in testimony in front of the Transportation Committee, said that the real spending number is $2 billion a year. It's 40% less than what Malloy had contended. So there's a whopping reduction in the spending they're saying is really necessary to get transportation in a state of good repair. That's good news, of course, because that reduces the need for tolls. And then the final thing that they said in the last 10 days was that the governor came back and he was wildly enthusiastic about his visit to Washington and his discussion with the Secretary of Transportation, Elaine Chao, and he proudly proclaimed that we're going to be participating in a brand new federal program which is going to subsidize our spending 80%, $800 million for every billion that we spend. The projections that the tolls are based on are no increased federal aid, 0. So we're going to get a whopping reduction in spending that's necessary, combined with an incredible increase in federal subsidies that we didn't count on. It's a reversal of billions of dollars in the projections, and no one is calling his bluff on it.
That's weird. You would think everyone's paying attention.
You would think, yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've tried to get the press to talk about it. I've contacted a number of reporters, and no one can argue about it. They're on TV. He's making these statements as the DOT commissioner is making the statement in testimony before the legislative committee. So no one can say that I'm just making it up. It's on the public record. All 3 major assumptions in the projected deficit and the reason for tolls are totally false.
Wow. Yeah. So... good luck, everybody.
Yeah, really.
Contact your legislator.
Yep, keep doing it.
Email, call.
Keep the heat up.
Keep the heat up.
Yes, and I'll tell you, the No Tolls Connecticut people are doing a terrific job. They're very close, if not already at 100,000 signatures. I know they're going to be presenting them to the legislature within the next 2 weeks.
I don't think I don't know. I'm sorry, but I don't think that matters. I don't think that, these protests, who's going to go out and make a sign? Seriously.
Well,
I just think it's a different time. I think you want to call.
Yeah.
Don't worry about social media. Call and write.
Yep.
Let these people know that you might not have your office, your position, if this goes through.
Right.
And I can verify that. I was a state senator, as you know, for a couple of terms. And I tell you what, when I got a few phone calls on any particular issue, it got my attention. And I know that the No Tolls people, I asked them, I said, well, how do your 100,000 signatures break out by district and town? And some of these legislative districts, they have 4,000 and 5,000 signatures. That is a game changer for any senator or representative. So your listeners, your admonition to them to call and email their legislator is well taken, Chaz, and keep the encouragement up because it can make a difference, particularly now as we could get very close to the real vote. That's even more impactful at that point.
When do you think that vote will be?
Well, they filed it. It's been on the Senate calendar and on the House calendar for a couple weeks now. That means the leadership can call the vote anytime they want, any day they want.
That's scary.
Yeah, so that is scary. That's why it's important for your audience to make their calls today or tomorrow or as soon as possible before they have the vote in the House and the Senate.
I heard there's 9 that's flippable. Like if they get 9 to switch, that this thing dies.
Well, it has to pass both the Senate and the House. In the Senate, they need to flip 6 people. In the House, they need to flip 15 people. So, but either one defeats the tolls. So they don't have to win it in both. I mean, we don't have to win it in both. We've got to stop them in one chamber or the other.
Right.
And again,
I hope everybody realizes how it'll affect everybody.
Yeah, really.
You know, I'm talking to people
Even if you don't drive,
businesses, and they say, you know, well, I'm either out of here or you're going to pay for it.
Yeah, either way.
So.
And
all right, Len.
On the No Tolls Connecticut org website, there is an op-ed that I wrote explaining in more detail these 3 fallacies in the pro tolls argument. I would urge people to go to the No Tolls CT Connecticut website and to number 1, of course, sign the petition again, and number 2, read up about it so they can be informed and can perhaps mention 1 or 2 of these reasons to the legislator who they may be calling.
All right.
Explain there's no real reason for the tolls.
Thank you, Len.
Thank you for
Len
what you do.
Suzio. Appreciate you.
Thank
you,
you.
man. Yeah, it's not over yet.
No.
Nothing is over.
No, turn it off.